The alien council chamber was vast, filled with tall pillars and glowing walls. The sound of many voices echoed inside. Alien leaders from different worlds had gathered. They spoke of humans, and their voices carried both laughter and scorn. "They are too emotional," said a blue-skinned chancellor with sharp eyes. "Humans cannot control their hearts. They cry, they love, they rage, and this makes them weak." Others agreed, some laughed, some spoke of human history. They mentioned wars, poems, love songs, and sacrifices. To them, these things were signs of foolishness. "They fight for feelings, not for reason," said another. "How can a race like this stand against empires built on logic and discipline?" In the middle of the hall stood a single human. His name was Ambassador Jonathan Hale. He had been invited to hear their judgment. He wore no armor, carried no weapon, only a calm face and steady eyes. The council expected anger or loud defense, but Hale only bowed his head and remained quiet. He did not fight their words. He did not argue. He only listened. This silence confused some aliens. They expected emotional outbursts. They wanted proof of weakness. But Hale offered nothing. Deep inside, Hale's heart burned. He remembered his people, the struggles of Earth, the families who lived with both joy and sorrow. He remembered the soldiers who had died not for power, but for loved ones. He knew the council did not understand. The chair of the council, a tall alien with silver skin, spoke louder. "Humans are too unstable. They should not be trusted with power. Their emotions will one day destroy them, and perhaps all of us." The hall echoed with agreement. The judgment was clear. The galaxy believed humans were fragile because of their hearts. But outside the chamber, far away on Earth, a different story was already unfolding. Scientists worked late into the night. Soldiers trained with unusual determination. Families wrote letters. Lovers exchanged promises. Children painted flags of hope. None of this looked like strategy. To the galaxy, it was foolish. To humans, it was strength. Back inside the chamber, Hale finally raised his head. His voice was calm yet strong. "You call us weak because we feel," he said, "but emotions are not weakness. They are the fire that keeps us alive. They are the bond that makes us fight for each other. They are the reason we will never kneel." Some aliens laughed again. "Fine words, human. But in war, words do not matter. Ships and weapons decide fate." Hale looked at them without fear. Ships can burn. Weapons can fail. But a heart that beats for someone else will not break. The chamber grew silent. The alien council did not know how to respond. For the first time, doubt touched their minds. Still, the council ended the session with dismissal. They declared humans a race of emotion-driven fools, and they believed they had closed the matter. But outside those shining walls, messengers carried the news back to their worlds, and everywhere the words spread. Humans are ruled by feelings. Yet on Earth, when the message reached the people, it did not break them. It only made them stronger. They gathered together, not in fear but in unity. They whispered to each other. "They think we are weak. They think our hearts make us fragile. Let us show them what hearts can do." The stars above Earth looked quiet, but beneath that sky humans were preparing. Not with hatred, but with determination. Not with machines alone, but with memories, songs, and promises. Ambassador Hale returned home. He stood before Earth's leaders and repeated the council's words. "They said we are too emotional," he told them, "and they believe our feelings will destroy us." The room fell silent. Then one general spoke. "Hey, if they believe this, let us use it. Let us fight with everything they fear. Let us turn our emotions into our greatest weapon." And so began the first quiet step of a storm. A storm not of steel. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Everywhere aliens repeated the same words. Humans are too emotional. Some laughed. Some dismissed Earth completely. Others warned their children not to trust humans, claiming their feelings made them dangerous. On Earth, the words struck deeply. Yet instead of breaking, people united. The insult became fuel. The pain became fire. In secret halls, Earth's leaders met. They gathered under the dim light of war rooms, generals, scientists, doctors, poets, and even farmers. Everyone had a place. Everyone had a voice. It was not like the cold councils of other empires. It was something alive, beating with many hearts together. Ambassador Jonathan Hale stood among them, his voice steady. "They called us weak," he said. "They believe our feelings are chains, but we will show them that emotions are wings." The generals leaned forward, eyes sharp. They did not speak of weapons alone. They spoke of courage. They spoke of sacrifice. They spoke of unity. One scientist, her hands stained with ink and metal dust, whispered, "We can build ships faster, not just with machines, but with the hands of volunteers. Our people are ready." Another voice rose, "We can use songs to carry codes. Our messages will hide in music. They will never understand the depth of our culture." It was not only strategy. It was something the galaxy had never seen before. A plan woven not only from logic but from passion. Far away in orbit, shipyards came alive. Not with cold workers, but with families. Fathers lifted steel with trembling arms. Mothers carried supplies with pride. Children painted names on the hulls of new ships. Each vessel carried not only metal, but stories. Aliens spied on Earth and sent back reports. "Humans waste time with art and family bonds," they wrote. "They sing while they work. They cry while they build. They are not focus," said. The Empire read these reports and smiled with arrogance. They believed victory was already theirs. They thought humans were distracted. But beneath the surface, something stronger was building. The more they mocked, the stronger the fire grew. Jonathan Hale traveled from city to city. He did not wear a crown or command armies. Instead, he spoke with the people. His words were simple. "They think our hearts are weakness. Let us prove our hearts are unbreakable." Crowds shouted, voices rising like storms. Every street echoed with the same promise. For our families, for our children, for Earth. In the quiet of night, soldiers trained, not with empty orders but with letters from home pressed close to their chests. They whispered the names of loved ones before they moved into drills. Their hearts beat with every step. Their emotions sharpened their focus. One young pilot wrote in her diary, "If I fall, let them know I fought because I loved." Her words spread across the ranks, copied again and again until every soldier carried it in their pocket. Aliens intercepted fragments of these writings. They laughed. Humans prepare for war with poems and tears. They mocked. Their armies are led by feelings, not command. But deep inside, a few alien observers felt unease. They had never seen such unity, never seen such fire in the eyes of an entire planet. Suspense grew like a storm cloud. The galaxy did not yet know, but something unstoppable was rising. In the dark, Earth's new fleet prepared, small compared to the Empire's massive armadas, yet each ship carried not only weapons but also letters, songs, paintings, and the names of families engraved into steel. These were not war machines, they were living promises, one admiral whispered to his crew. "We are not fighting for victory alone. We are fighting to prove that love and rage can burn brighter than an eye-star." As the ships launched, music played across every channel, not orders, not numbers, but music. A song that carried both sorrow and hope. The aliens listening could not understand. They thought it was noise, but for humans, it was code. For humans, it was unity. The galaxy slept in false comfort, believing Earth was wasting time, believing humans were ruled by foolish feelings. But in silence, in shadows, humanity's strategy was already taking form. A strategy not written in cold logic, but carved in hearts. And when the first strike came, the galaxy would not see it coming. They would not understand it. They would only feel the impact of something they had never believed possible. The silent strategy of humanity was not built on steel. It was built on emotion. And it was about to shake the stars. The alien empire had grown lazy with pride. They trusted their fleets, their massive cannons, and their endless armies. To them, humans were nothing more than a fragile race of dreamers, the council declared. Let them build their little ships. They are no threat. So the Empire waited, laughing, believing victory was certain. But deep in the black of space, the first human fleet moved. Not with the silence of machines, but with the beating heart of a people united. Every ship carried the fire of emotion. Every pilot carried memories sharper than blades. The flagship Resolute led the way. Inside its command deck, Admiral Marcus Reed stood tall. His eyes carried the weight of a father who had lost a son in the first skirmish. His grief had not broken him, it had forged him. "Remember what we fight for," he told his crew. "Not for glory, not for conquest, but for every name written on our hulls." Around him, soldiers pressed fingers against small photos taped to their stations. Some whispered prayers, some whispered names, as the fleet approached an outpost of the alien Empire. The enemy scanners lit up. The aliens saw small ships, fewer in number, weaker in firepower. "They dare challenge us," an alien commander sneered. "Destroy them quickly." The order was given. Giant cannons lit the dark, blazing fire toward the human fleet. The sky exploded with light. For a moment, the aliens smiled. But when the smoke cleared, the human ships were still there. They had moved not with logic but with instinct. Every evasive maneuver was driven by raw determination. Pilots screamed in rage, in hope, in memory, and somehow their ships danced between the fire. Then came the shock. The Resolute broadcasted across every channel. Not codes, not orders, but a song, a simple human melody. It carried sorrow. It carried strength. Alien systems tried to decode it. Their machines searched for patterns. "This is not data," they reported. "This is meaningless." But it was not meaningless. For humans, it was everything. The song carried secret signals, guiding the fleet with emotion hidden in every note. One verse meant strike. One rhythm meant shield. The aliens could not understand. They were blind to it. The human fleet struck like lightning. Small ships swarmed the alien outpost. They fought with ferocity the Empire had never seen. Weapons blazed. But what frightened the aliens most were the voices. Through the comms, alien soldiers heard humans screaming, not in fear but in rage and love. "For my mother," one pilot shouted as he rammed his fighter into an alien cruiser. "For my daughter," cried another as she unleashed her cannons. The aliens hesitated. For the first time in centuries, fear touched their hearts. These humans were not fighting for conquest. They were fighting for something deeper. The alien commander ordered reinforcements. "Crush them. They are only a few ships." But even as reinforcements arrived, the human fleet held. Every loss only made them stronger. Every fallen soldier was remembered in real time, their names shouted across comms like banners. One alien officer trembled as he watched. "This is not strategy," he whispered. "This is emotion." Hours passed. The outpost that had once been proud now burned. Human ships floated scarred but unbroken. The Resolute stood in the center, its hull torn, but its spirit unyielding. Admiral Reed spoke across the stars, his voice calm but filled with fire. "You said we are too emotional," he declared. "But it is emotion that keeps us standing, emotion that gives us strength when logic fails. Look upon your fallen outpost, and know this is only the beginning." The message reached the Council. It spread across the galaxy, and for the first time, alien rulers felt a chill. They had laughed at emotions, now they feared them, but in the shadows of victory, humanity also felt the cost. Ships drifted silent. Names of the fallen echoed in every heart. Mothers cried, fathers stood in silence, children held photos. The pain was real, the grief was deep, yet this grief did not break them. It shaped them. The loss became a vow. The vow became fire. On Earth, crowds gathered around screens. They saw the flames of the alien outpost. They saw the courage of their people, and they shouted together, "We are not weak, we are human." The Empire thought this was a small skirmish, but it was not. It was the first crack in their iron wall, a crack made not by machines, but by hearts. The universe watched in silence, and in that silence a storm of emotions was rising. The smoke of the first battle still drifted in space. Human ships returned home scarred but alive. The galaxy whispered in shock. No one expected a small human fleet to destroy an alien outpost. The Empire laughed less now, yet pride still blinded them. They told their people, it was luck, nothing more. Humans cannot win again. But deep inside their council chambers, fear grew. They saw humans fighting with something beyond logic, something they could not measure. On Earth, celebrations filled the streets, yet beneath the joy was sorrow. Every name of the fallen was read aloud. Bells rang for each lost soul. Families wept together, and from that grief came resolve. Admiral Marcus Reed stood before his fleet, his voice heavy. "We won a battle, but the war is not finished. The Empire will strike harder. We must be ready." The fleet listened, not with fear, but with fire. They knew losses would come, they knew pain would follow, but they also knew they were fighting for something greater than themselves. Soon the Empire returned. A massive armada approached, 10 times larger than the human fleet. Ships stretched across the stars like endless shadows. Their cannons glowed like suns. The human fleet stood small against it, yet not one ship turned back. On the Resolute, soldiers held letters from families. Pilots kissed photos taped to their dashboards. Some whispered prayers, some whispered names. The battle began with thunder. Alien fire rained like storms. Human ships weaved through chaos. Emotions sharpened their instincts. But even courage could not stop every blast. Ships burned. Screams filled the comms. Still, the humans fought. Every loss fueled another strike. They did not retreat. They did not surrender. In the middle of battle, the alien flagship charged its superweapon, a cannon capable of destroying an entire city in one shot. If it fired, Earth itself would fall. Admiral Reed saw it. His eyes filled with grief and resolve, he whispered, "Not again, not while I breathe." He turned to his crew. "Prepare evacuation," he ordered. They protested. "Admiral, we cannot leave you." But he silenced them with a look. He walked to the console, placed his hand on the override, and smiled softly. "Tell Earth, I did this for my son." The crew shouted, tears in their eyes, but Reed locked the doors. He alone remained on the bridge. The Resolute surged forward. Engines roared. Flames cut through the dark. The Admiral drove his ship directly into the alien flagship. Alarms. The sacrifice of Admiral Reed burned like fire in every human heart. His name was spoken not in whispers but in thunder. Children carved his face into stone. Soldiers wrote his last words on their armor. Families placed candles on windows, filling Earth with light. The aliens had expected fear. Instead, they saw fury and unity. The Empire commanders read the reports. "Their grief has not broken them," the report said. "It has made them stronger." In secret halls, Earth's leaders met once more. The room glowed dim, but the voices were bright. Jonathan Hale stood before them, his face pale with exhaustion yet alive with fire. "We cannot fight like them," he said. "We cannot outnumber them. We cannot outgun them, but we can fight with what they will never understand." The generals nodded. "Emotions," one whispered. "Our greatest weapon." Plans were drawn, not plans of pure strategy, but plans woven with humanity. Messages were sent across the stars, not with codes, but with stories. Soldiers wrote letters and poems. Pilots sang into the comms. Entire fleets carried songs that pulsed with hope and rage. Alien scanners caught the transmissions. They dismissed them. Human noise, they said. Songs, poems, tears, nothing more. But their soldiers began to hear the voices. Some laughed, but some trembled. For the first time, alien troops felt strange unease. In the middle of battle, they heard human voices shouting names of loved ones. They heard songs filled with both grief and joy. They saw ships painted with words like "for my father" or "for my child." The Empire began to realize they were not fighting against machines. They were fighting against memories, against love, against unbreakable bonds. On the front lines, human fleets attacked with fierce precision. Every movement guided by rhythm hidden inside songs. Every strike timed by emotion. The aliens tried to bury, eke their formation but could not. It was as if the entire human fleet shared one heart. One pilot named Captain Elias became a symbol. His broadcasts were filled with raw truth. "I fight for my sister," he cried during one battle. "Her laugh is brighter than your stars, and you will never take that from me." His words were intercepted and spread across alien ranks. Soldiers heard them again and again, and they could not silence them. Some alien commanders shouted, "Ignore their noise." But their troops began to hesitate. They could crush numbers. They could crush ships. But how could they crush something invisible? How could they destroy a people who grew stronger with every loss? In one battle above a red moon, the Empire unleashed a massive fleet. The humans were cornered, outnumbered 5-1. The alien commander declared, "End this farce. Finish them." But the humans did not fall. Instead, they sang. Thousands of voices across ships joined in one song. It was old, a melody born on Earth centuries ago, a song of sorrow and hope. The sound crossed the battlefield, shaking even the coldest hearts. Alien soldiers froze. Some dropped their weapons. Some cried without knowing why. They had never felt such power. Not from weapons, not from orders. The humans struck then, not only with guns but with will. Ships moved like dancers in rhythm. Every blast was precise. Every strike carried the weight of love and rage. The alien fleet collapsed, their discipline shattered under the storm of emotion. The Empire Council watched from afar, faces pale. The silver-skinned chair whispered, This is not war. This is something else." Jonathan Hale addressed the council directly through intercepted channels, his voice steady. "You called us too emotional. You mocked our hearts, but now you see, emotions are not weakness. They are our weapon, and it is a weapon you can never take from us." On Earth, families gathered to listen. Every heartbeat is one. Crowds shouted Reed's name, Elias's name, the names of every fallen hero. They shouted not in grief alone, but in... The Empire had always ruled through fear. Their fleet stretched across countless stars. Their laws were carved into iron. Their soldiers obeyed without question. But now whispers spread through their ranks. Whispers of humans. Whispers of a weapon that was not made of steel. Reports from every battlefield repeated the same truth. They fight with emotion. They fight with unity. We cannot break them. Commanders shouted for silence, but silence never came. Fear crawled into the hearts of their soldiers. In the council chamber, alien leaders argued. Some demanded stronger fleets, some demanded new weapons. But one elder spoke quietly. "You cannot fight what you cannot understand, and none of us understand the humans." His words were ignored, yet they lingered like shadows. On the front lines, human fleets advanced again. They were smaller, weaker in numbers, but their presence was heavy. They carried not only weapons, but also voices. Every battle began with broadcasts of songs, poems, names of loved ones. The aliens tried to jam the signals, but somehow the words always reached through. One alien soldier, young and untested, listened to a human pilot's final message. "Tell my daughter I fought for her smile." The soldier's hands trembled. He hesitated to fire. His commander screamed at him, but the words echoed louder than any order. He could not erase them. Soon entire groups of alien troops faltered. Some lowered their weapons. Some refused to fight. The Empire called them cowards, but they knew it was something else. It was doubt. Jonathan Hale watched from the command deck of the human flagship. His eyes tired but burning, he spoke to his crew. "Do you see it? They are breaking, not because of our guns, but because of our hearts. This is the moment we waited for." The battle above the shattered world of Valaris became the turning point. The Empire unleashed their greatest fleet, hundreds of ships armed with their deadliest weapons. They believed numbers would crush emotion. But when the first human broadcast filled the battlefield, something strange happened. Entire alien squadrons froze, their screens filled with images of human families holding candles, of children singing, of soldiers writing last letters. It was raw, it was real, and it struck deeper than any weapon. The alien admiral screamed, "Ignore it! Fire now!" But his soldiers hesitated. Their hands shook. Their hearts raced with feelings they did not understand. Then the human fleet struck. Small ships moved in rhythm, guided by emotion. Every blast carried fury. Every strike carried love. The Empire's great fleet collapsed like glass under fire. Ships turned to ash. Others fled into the void. For the first time in history, the Empire's banners burned. News spread fast. Alien citizens whispered in fear. The humans cannot be defeated. They fight with something more than weapons. Some even began to admire them. In secret corners of the Empire, rebellion stirred. Soldiers who had felt the human broadcast began to question their orders. "Why do we fight?" they asked. "What do we fight for?" The council panicked. They tried to silence the rumors. They executed deserters. They threatened worlds with destruction. But the fear no longer worked. The doubt was already spreading like wildfire. On Earth, crowds filled every city. Screens showed the collapsing fleets of the Empire. People wept and cheered together, for every name of the fallen was honored, for every victory was shared. Humanity had become one voice, one heart, one unbreakable force. Jonathan Hale spoke again to the galaxy, his words calm. "You said our emotions would destroy us, and you were right. But they did not destroy us. They destroyed you." The alien council sat in silence, their power and bar crumbling, their fleets weakened, their soldiers broken. For the first time in centuries, the Empire was afraid. Yet humanity did not celebrate with arrogance. They mourned their losses, they remembered their sacrifices. Their strength came not from conquest, but from love. The galaxy had changed, no longer ruled by cold iron and fear, but shaken by the fire of the human heart. The collapse of the Empire had begun, and it was not the sound of cannons that brought it down, but the sound of voices. The Empire was crumbling. Once they had ruled the stars with iron fleets and fear. Now their banners were torn, their armies scattered, their commanders shouted orders, but their soldiers no longer listened. Everywhere across the galaxy, whispers spread. Humans cannot be broken. Humans fight with something we do not understand. Entire worlds once loyal to the Empire now stood in silence, waiting, afraid of what would come next. In the council chamber, the leaders gathered again. The silver-skinned chair looked older. His voice cracked. How did this happen? How did one small world bring down an empire built for 1,000 years? Some shouted for revenge, others begged for surrender. One elder whispered, "We lost not to their ships, not to their weapons, we lost to their hearts." Far away on Earth, the people did not celebrate with pride alone. Instead, they mourned, remembering Admiral Reed, remembering every soldier who had given life for family, for love, for hope. Streets glowed with candles. Bells rang for the fallen. Jonathan Hale stood before the United Council of Earth, his face lined with exhaustion, his voice steady. The Empire is breaking. They called us weak because of our feelings, but it was our feelings that gave us strength. Now the galaxy will look to us and we must decide who we are. The human fleets moved again, not to conquer, but to protect. They shielded small colonies abandoned by the Empire. They offered food, medicine, and hope to aliens who had once mocked them. Humans extended hands. In one shattered world, an alien child approached a human soldier. The child's eyes filled with fear. But when the soldier knelt and handed her bread, the fear melted into tears. Word spread fast. Humans do not rule with fear, they heal with kindness. The Empire's people began to question everything. Soldiers deserted not only from fear but from shame. They asked themselves, why do we fight for leaders who only bring terror when humans fight for each other? At last, the alien council sent envoys to Earth. They entered the chamber where Hale waited, their voices unsteady. We mocked you, they said. We laughed at your tears. We called your hearts weak. But we see now, it was emotion that destroyed our empire. It was emotion that made you strong. Hale did not smile. His eyes held sorrow. We never wished for conquest, he said. We never wished to rule your stars. We only wished to be respected, to live free. You saw our emotions as weakness, but it was love, grief, and hope that gave us power. The alien envoys lowered their heads. For the first time in history, they bowed to a human. Across the galaxy, the message spread. The Empire has fallen, humanity rises. But humans did not rise as tyrants, they rose as protectors, as guardians. Their fleets flew not with banners of conquest, but with the names of the fallen. In every corner of the galaxy, voices whispered the same truth. They said humans were too emotional, but emotions shattered the Empire. On Earth, children grew up hearing the story. They learned that tears were not weakness, that love was not fragile, that hope was sharper than any blade. They grew knowing that the heart of humanity had saved the stars. Jonathan Hale looked at the night sky one last time. Stars glittered like candles across the black. His voice soft. Admiral Reed, we did not fail your psalms. Sacrifice lit the fire that changed the universe. The galaxy would never forget. Humans were no longer mocked as fragile. They were known as the people who turned emotions into the greatest weapon.